Hello, I'm Nicole Shinjek. I'm the Student Assistance Coordinator for Heartland Schools, and I would like to introduce you to our parent presentation this evening on resources and support during COVID and our changing times. We are aware that the mental health has been impacted on our teens, tweens, and children's during this time. There was a poll given by the 4-H Council, for example. This period has led to 55% of our teens experiencing anxiety, 45% extreme stress, and 43% increase in depression, while 61% experience loneliness. So we are here to support you today with some resources and support to be able to talk to, look for, and seek out resources in order to support your child, your teen, or your tween.
Hi, my name is Lisa Burkheader. I am the social work intern at Heartland High School, and I'm going to start us off today by talking about managing our stress. So a great way to start off is by establishing routines. Everyone thrives on routines, especially children and teens, and it's something simple, just knowing we're going to get up, we're going to brush our teeth, wash our face, and we're going to be dressed by, for example, 10 a.m., and then schoolwork starts, and we're going to have chores, etc. But having a predictable day helps people just be able to kind of relax and know what is expected of them. We're going to cut ourselves some slack. Right now, we're going through something we have never gone through before, and there's no rules or playbook for how to handle it. So let's give ourselves some grace if we feel like we didn't handle something perfectly, or we have a day that's hard. Just give ourselves some grace, cut ourselves some slack, and just be kind to ourselves and to our children. Let's be smart about what we're reading and watching. We want to stay up to date on what's happening in the world, but we don't need to always have the news on in the background, especially if that is adding stress and anxiety to our day. It's fine to set a time limit to say, for 15 minutes, I'm going to check in and see if there's anything new, and then move on and think about other things for the rest of the day. We want to practice being mindful and give ourselves some self-care. So think of things that you enjoy that you can structure into your day, that you know you're going to relax in those things. Maybe it's a hot cup of coffee first thing in the morning, or soaking in the tub in the evening, or reading a book for pleasure. Whatever it is for you, build that into your day for at least a little bit of time, and don't spend all of your time worrying about what the past was or what might be happening in the future. Just focus on the things that you can do today and the things that are happening today in your world, and try and stay present in those moments. We want to be staying connected. I know that right now things are different for connecting with people, but we can still connect virtually. We can plan out phone dates. We can plan time on Zoom or on FaceTime, even setting a schedule for texting to check in with your friends. Just staying connected with our family and our friends and our loved ones is so important right now, even if we can't necessarily see them face to face. So let's move on to what that looks like for helping our children and our teens cope. Helping them be mindful and spending time as a family. It's very important to have that face-to-face connection with a family. It's easy with teenagers especially to let them squirrel away in their room and hide in their devices, but it really is important to pull them out and spend time eating dinner together, taking walks, playing games, things that your family likes to do. Putting that time in to show that, hey, I still am interested in what's happening in your life, and I want to share what's happening in my life with you. And we're going to work on doing that at least 3 times a week. If you can do it more than that, awesome. The more the better. But if you can't get 3 times every week, again, we are going to give ourselves a little bit of slack here. We're going to stick to those routines. Again, consistency, structure, as much as possible. It really is important, especially during times that feel chaotic, to know that you can predict something, and you can have some structure in your day and know what's expected of you. A great way to help you with this is to make and post a schedule. So we're going to make a schedule as a family, put it somewhere that everyone can see it. I would even recommend letting your children and teens have some input in what's on the schedule. We don't want to let them dictate it necessarily, but if it's very important to them that they get time on a video game in the day, then let's schedule that in so they know that their voice is being heard and that they are going to get time to do what they enjoy in addition to getting their schoolwork done and their chores done and the other things that are expected of them. When you're creating that schedule, it's also important to alternate the time of work and the times of play. Studies have shown that when people know they have a built-in break, that they can be more productive when they're doing their work. So for example, maybe you spend 30 minutes really focused on schoolwork, but then they know they get a 10-minute break to do whatever it is that they think is fun. And then maybe they spend 15 minutes on doing some chores, and then they have another 30-minute chunk of time doing schoolwork, whatever that looks like for your family, but alternating those different tasks so that the whole day isn't just bogged down with things that are, presumably unfun. We want to make sure we're giving positive attention to our children. It's easy as parents to get caught up in driving the train, so to speak, where we are just like, make sure you do this, make sure you do that, don't forget this, did you do this yet? And we want to make sure that we're also acknowledging the things that they are getting done and they are doing well. It's so important, even if it's expected of them, that we're appreciating and showing them that appreciation. It's as simple as hey, I know online school is hard, but you did such a great job. You got everything done today, and I'm so proud of you. Or, I know that you're expected to do these chores, but it really helps when you put the laundry in and load the dishes. So thank you so much for helping around the house today. And finally, we want to validate their feelings. Our kids are going through this just as much as we are, and they have big, complicated emotions, and you can be their safe place to say, this stinks, or I'm nervous, or I'm not sure what's going to happen. They've had events canceled. Give them a safe place to say, I'm so disappointed that I didn't get to go to camp or to this event. And don't try and change their mind. Just listen. Just listen and let them say what they want to say. And so we're going to listen more and we're going to talk less.
Hi, I'm Toni Shear, school social worker for Heartland High School. In Livingston County, we focus on the 40 developmental assets that help kids thrive. The Search Institute has identified 40 positive supports and strengths that young people need to succeed. Half of the assets focus on the relationships and opportunities they need in their families, schools, and communities. These are their external assets. The remaining assets focus on the social-emotional strengths, values, and commitments that grow within young people. These are their internal assets. Studies of more than 2.2 young people in the United States conducted by the Search Institute consistently show that the more assets young people have, the less likely they are to engage in a wide range of high-risk behaviors, and the more likely they are to thrive. These 40 developmental assets have been proven to be better predictors of future high-risk involvement or success than living in poverty. Of the 40 developmental assets, there are 8 different subgroups. The first subgroup refers to the external assets, and the first of these external assets is support. Young people need to be surrounded by people who love, care for, appreciate, and accept them. The second external asset is empowerment. Young people need to feel valued and valuable. This happens when youth feel safe and respected. The third asset is the existence of boundaries and expectations. Young people need clear rules, consistent consequences for breaking rules, and encouragement to do their best. The fourth and the last of the external assets is the constructive use of time. Our kids need opportunities outside of school to learn and develop new skills and interests with other kids and adults. The next subgroup of developmental assets are the internal assets. These are the personal skills, commitments, and values that our kids need to make good choices, take responsibility for their own lives, and be independent. So the first of the internal assets is a commitment to learning. Kids need a sense of the lasting importance of learning and a belief in their own abilities. The next internal asset is having positive values. Our kids need to develop strong guiding values and principles to help them make healthy life choices. The next internal asset is social competency. Kids need the skills to interact effectively with others, to make difficult decisions, and to cope with new situations. The final internal asset is a positive identity. Young people need to believe in their own self-worth and to feel that they have control over the things that happen to them. If you would like more information about the 40 developmental assets, we have included a link to their website in the lower left-hand corner of this screen.
5 protective factors. There's 5 protective factors that we are aware of that create resiliency in our students. These protective factors are what create the resiliency to overcome any at-risk factors that may come into their life. So protective factors are the overall wraparound of creating our students at this rate to be able to be resilient towards risk factors such as drugs, alcohol, anxiety, and depression. A little bit about the protective factors are, does your child or teen have another adult in their life that they are accountable to, such as a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, a teacher, a pastor, somebody in their sports club? What we have found is that if they have another person that they're accountable for, that creates resiliency, somebody that they can talk to, somebody that's given them an attaboy. And so one of the things that we always say is that it is a good idea to have, your child reach out at least once or twice during the week on a phone call or a face-to-face to a grandparent, an aunt, or an uncle, connecting with coaches, their pastor, like I had said. Those are ways for them to, again, make connections to other adults. Another thing also is that do they have at least 1 or 2 good friends? 1 or 2 good friends that are there for them through the good and through the bad. 2 or 3 good friends that they can connect with, that they spend time with. And when I say that also, when I'm talking to teens or tweens or children, I always say, who's your friend? Where do they live? What is their last name? It's really actually, when I'm talking to them, a lot of times sometimes they don't know their friend's last name, or their parents don't know their last name. So a good thing to always know is that who are your kids hanging out with? What are their first names? What are their last names? What are their parents' names? Because that allows for you then to make that connection, and also it's a safety factor as well. Also, parent connections. You are their number one person in their life. You might not always feel that way, but you are the number one influence. So spending time at the dinner table at least 2 or 3 times a week, if you feed them, they will talk. Also, having a game night or for a date night once or twice a month with your son or your daughter. Building those concrete supports and connections with your son or daughter. Academic achievement in the classroom, online for those students who are online, checking their work, practicing skills with them. Also being involved in the community, meaning a church, sports. Thank gosh, sports are open right now. Track is coming up. That's a great way for our students to be able, in the higher level, to be able to get out and get involved in a club, a group outside, soccer, those types of things. Being connected with something that they have a purpose and a passion with. And overall, these are ways to create the resiliency in your son or daughter. And it's something that we talk about at school all the time. What's your purpose? What's your passion? Who's your person? What do you love to do? So the protective factors overall create resiliency in your son and daughter.
Hi, everybody. I'm Helen Kenny, one of the counselors at Heartland High School. I'm going to be talking about some practical tips and strategies for self-care and staying present in the moment. These are ideas that we give students on a regular basis here at the high school. And the excellent thing is that they can be used in the moment, no matter where a person is. So if you're in class, at home, or even out to dinner with friends, you could take advantage of one of these strategies without anybody even really knowing that you're utilizing a coping mechanism in that moment. So engaging your five senses is the first one I'll mention. This is an activity that you can do no matter where you are to help ground you and bring you back into the present moment, and to be mindful versus having the anxiety and stress overtake you. So you would take notice of one thing each for your five senses. So something that you can see, touch, smell, taste, and hear. You take a couple seconds to acknowledge each of those and then move on. The next one is the power of the pause, or POP. This is just to remind yourself to take a moment and pause so that you can be mindful and acknowledge what you're feeling, and then do a breathing strategy. There are a lot of different breathing strategies out there, and you can kind of toy with them to see what works. One is 4-7-8. You'll hear of box breathing, which is breathing for 4 seconds, in, hold, out, hold, in. 4-7-8 would be breathing in for 4 seconds, holding for 7, breathing out for 8. Another thing is to just be aware that when we're experiencing really high levels or intense emotions, that you're not going to be able to just stop that like immediately. You kind of have to ride that wave of emotion. But you can work to like positively work through that emotion with some healthy distractions like guided imagery, guided meditation, yoga, or some other physical activity like running or even just stretching. But try to ride that intense emotion to its end, not try to stop it, right? There is a difference there. And then the last 2 bullet points are phone apps and different videos. These are all available for free. So if you download any of these apps that we have listed, they all have free features. Some of them have some paid options within the app, but I use these apps on the free level, and I know a lot of the mental health professionals in the district do as well. All of these will help guide you through taking that mindful break that you need, whether it's a timer, taking a break, Calm app, Breathe to Relax app. And the videos here are linked, but if you Google, you'll find just endless videos out there on YouTube. A self-compassion break, this is an example of a guided imagery or meditation with somebody walking you through that. And the Be Kinder to Yourself video is really cool. It's a 5-step process through acknowledging the tricky moment that you're in, but then positively working through that. And it kind of ends with like a positive self mantra. And just, it's important that we are kinder to ourselves and give ourselves some more grace in these times. Next, I will talk about the circle of control, which is another thing we talk to students about on a regular basis. So a lot of times when our stress and anxiety levels are through the roof, we are focused on things outside of our control, like trying to predict the future, or what people are thinking, or how another person's going to react. And this is a vicious cycle. It's a fruitless effort to spend our time worrying and stressing about things outside of our control. Rather, we should focus on things inside of our circle of control, and that will move us toward growth and progress. So those would be different ways for staying healthy, our diets, what we take into our bodies. How we're treating others is in our control. The amount of homework that I do is in my control. How much good quality sleep I get is in my control. And then I really like the last point here about spending just 1% of the day on yourself or taking a little bit of a break. I know that sounds minuscule, but this can be a really powerful action. No matter how you're using it, if you take just 1% of your day for yourself to work on a skill, reflect, do some self-gratitude, watching that Be Kinder video. If you use just a little bit of your day for this, you will see exponential growth in the long run. I like to think about like professional athletes or artists or people who are experts in their field. They don't just wake up experts in their field. It's step by step with the brush stroke and learning this technique, or a golfer who focuses on their grip first and then the swing and the way they're standing. And it's a bunch of little pieces that come together, but it's just a little bit at a time. And then it's kind of less overwhelming. Doing daily check-ins, asking how I am feeling on a scale from 1 to 10. Along with this, taking stock of what we're grateful for each and every day. Sometimes that will be really easy, and we'll have lists of things that we can say, I'm thankful for this and I'm grateful for that. Other days it will be harder, but it's important to still be able to acknowledge, like, I have shoes on my feet, and that's what I'm grateful for today. Taking the time to be grateful can have a really powerful impact on our well-being. And then always knowing who we would go to for emotional support should we need it, and having some quality people in your life that you know you can count on. And I know we're going to talk about that throughout this presentation as well.
Okay, so this slide is one of my favorite acronyms. This is HALT. It's Am I hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? I'm going to read off some of my fancy notes here. And it seems very simple enough, but we are susceptible to worry, stress, and anxiety when our basic needs are not met. Anxiety, worry, and stress does not just pop on us one day. It's an accumulation of going back to the days before and trying to figure out what it is that I didn't do for myself that day or that I need more of. So looking at HALT, the first part of HALT is hungry. However, we should remind ourselves not to just eat, but to eat well. Eating well, maintaining a balanced meals throughout the day rather than just throwing a Hot Pocket into the microwave. Yes, we all do that. And yes, it's okay to do that, once in a while. But to really spend time nourishing your body and making yourself feel good, because the more you're eating a balanced diet, the better you're going to feel. Last week we did a parent night with Gleaners Food Bank and taught families and students how to eat more nutritionally. Next month we are also going to do one where we're going to learn recipes to have at home and to make as a family. So again, allowing ourselves and our sons and daughters to make sure that they're eating every day and eating a balanced meal to feel good about themselves. The next letter is anger. Anger is a normal, healthy emotion to experience, but trying to take the time out sometimes to understand why our son or daughter or even ourselves are feeling angry. And talking about that anger and doing and putting things into our days to allow that anger not to store up in our bodies by putting in some exercise, taking a walk, doing creative projects such as painting, singing, writing, ways that you can dispel that feeling and emotion out of your body so it doesn't encompass your whole day. And then also having, again, an adult to talk to, or again, a good friend or somebody where you can talk about those emotions with. The next one is loneliness. What we do know is about our teens were spending close to 73 and 75% of their time on social media over the peak part of the pandemic. It's the numbers getting lower, but we also often think that our kids or teens are safe because they're at home, locked up at home or in their room, when really one of the biggest impacts that can create a problem is them being alone in their room, especially on social media. So loneliness is, making sure that we don't see withdrawing into ourselves or into our rooms without having an outlet or a connection. Simply going out into the world, having dinner together, communicating together, going for walks together, connecting with purposes and not feeling that loneliness. Those are some of the things that you just want to be aware of, is time that your son or daughter are spending by themselves. And then the last one is tiredness. Tiredness really takes a toll on our bodies, and staying up late and not being on that routine can really throw people off into that worry and stress and anxiety and create that down spiral. So taking the time to halt is really important when you're tired. Checking in with yourself about how much time your son or daughter is getting, how much time your son or daughter is getting sleep per night, and just simply keeping them on a routine. An overall HALT is just a good reminder, a simple acronym of, am I taking care of myself? Am I taking care of my basic needs every day? And checking in a couple times a day to assess honestly how you're feeling. Are you nourished? Checking in with your emotions. Have I been spending quality time with friends and families, my purposes, my passions? And then tired. Have I been getting enough rest? Do I need a brain break? So HALT is just a good way for self-care and self-reflection. And last but certainly not least, resources. We are a wealth of information. All of our buildings have mental health professionals in the building. If you ever need or have questions regarding any resources that we could provide you in school and outside of school, please feel free to call your son or daughter's school building, and there is a social worker or counselor available for any type of resources that we can connect you with, both in school and outside of school. Outside of school, there is the Connection Youth Services, which provides counseling service, as well as there are online groups currently going each day that you could find on their website, which is theconnectionyouthservices.com. Community mental health is also a wealth of information for mental health services. And then Key Development and Thriving Minds and Perspectives Therapy are also community resources for individual and family counseling. They are currently taking face-to-face clients as well as teletherapy as online, so that there are different ways that we can navigate you and support you to connect you to resources in our community. So with that, also in each of our buildings, we do have mentors. We also have groups at the high school, groups at the middle school, groups at farms, and also there are small groups running in our elementary schools as well. We are also at each level working with our students one-on-one. If there's any red flags with students, we're available to speak to them one-on-one, then allowing ourselves to be able to communicate with you at home. So please know that we are aware, we are available, and we are here if you need anything. Resources are available in the community as well as in the schools. And if you ever need anything, please call the school and they will connect you with one of us as counselors, social workers, or psychologists, and we will be able to support you to create a dynamic to support your son or daughter in a healthy way, whether it's in school or whether it's outside of school. Thank you. Again, we are all here treading the waters and wanting to make sure that our children, our teens, and our tweens are feeling their best and that they're healthy and that they're happy.